Need top secret letters stolen from unsavory hands? Need to steal a sword from an elven location? Or do you want to break into a heavily built dwarven stronghold? You do? Well, you're looking for Riyria. The Riyria Revelations begins with Theft of Swords, written by Michael J. Sullivan in 2011. It follows the two protagonists, Royce Melbourne and Adrian Blackwater, as they're framed for the murder of the King of Mellingar in the nation of Averin. As they try to prove their innocence, they stumble onto a much greater conspiracy that has to do with political tension, racism, the church, religion, gods, a war, man being a dick. Oh, it's glorious. Riyria is actually the second book series that I know that started out as self-published. The first being, 50 Shades of Grey, which I haven't read. But before being picked up by Orbit's Books, it actually sold 90,000 copies and was a series of 6 books. After being picked up by Orbit's, it became a 3-book series that had volumes, and they were Theft of Swords, which contained The Crown Conspiracy and Avanpatha, Rise of Empire, which contained Nephron Rising and the Emerald Storm, and concluded with The Era of Novron, which had Wintertide and Persepolis. In 2013, 2 prequel books were created that became the Riyria Chronicles, and they were The Crown Tower and The Rose and Thorn, which is awesome. There were also 2 short stories called The Jester and The Viscount and the Witch. The Jester was one of many short stories that was published in the fantasy anthology Unfettered. Unfettered is a fantasy anthology series that was released in 2013. The book pulled together some of the greatest writers in fantasy who donated their short stories to this book to help pay the medical bills of fellow fantasy writer Sean Speakman, who at that time had beaten cancer for a second time. Now, I freaking love Riyria. Not just this book, but the whole series. Theft of Swords is an amazing start, introducing a world that is just waiting to be explored and introducing characters that I instantly fall in love with. Royce and Hadrian have some of the best interactions in the whole book, and they remind me of 2 old men who have been friends for years. One just wants a nice, easy life, and the other one keeps pulling him into really crazy adventures. The book begins small, with the issues in Mellingar, and before you know it, you're following these characters and witnessing the rise of an empire, and answering the big question, who is the Era of Novron? While I love Royce and Hadrian, the female characters in this book just are brilliant. Arista is faithful to her brother even though they don't get along. Beautiful and exotically weird Gwen is beautiful and weird. And Thrace is crazy. I mean, this little girl is just out of her damn mind. You do not mess with crazy. There are also underlining themes that don't make themselves apparent in this book, but there is something going on. Something a lot bigger. But you'll have to continue reading Rise of Empire to find out. Theft of Swords opened the door to the fantasy genre for me, and I'd like to thank Michael J. Sullivan for handing me the key. So, if you have a problem that needs to be solved, call your friendly neighborhood Riyria. Theft of Swords and its sister books are available on Amazon, Audible, and in your local bookstores. Oh, before I forget, Riyria have a new book up on Kickstarter. They are doing pretty good. It's called The Death of Delgoth, and it's gonna be a part of the Riyria Chronicles.